This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Pro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Got a very exciting show today. There's certain guys where you can't just call him up and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm mowing the yard." Yeah, I know. Let me hop on. Let me put the dog in the kennel and hop on the show, and that's for good reason. Today's guest is one that I've been working on a while to get on BTL. Extremely excited to get him on. Before I bring him on, let me do a 30-second timeline of bass fishing, and I want to focus particularly on the period between 2015 and 2018, because a lot of things happened during those 3 years that we knew were important at the time for those in the industry and those of us who love to follow the sport of fishing. Time of evolution, if you think about the technological advances on that. But February 11th, Garmin introduces Panoptics, which it said at the time would be revolutionary, which would allow, even when the boat was stationary, to see in real time 360 degrees in front of the boat, as well moving objects. It was the blob era, if you remember that, back in 2015. So February 11th, 2015. Then October 2017, Anderson Media became the primary owners of B.A.S.S, Bass Angler Sportsman Society. Then less than a year after that, in June 18, Garmin introduces Panoptics, LiveScope. And then in September of 2018, MLF announced the Bass Pro Tour. So there was a lot to digest during that 3-year time period. Then everything was fairly quiet from like 19 to 2022, 2023. And what sticks out in my head is a particular Elite Series event that took place on Lake Fork, where LiveScope, Patrick Walters, the record win margin at that time with the jerk bait on the stumps, and people were like, holy cow, this is something. So in October of 2023, we jumped ahead. Remember, we jumped ahead 8 years. Bass created a committee to monitor technology. The following year in September, they announced the technology rules for the 2025 season, which included a 55-inch screen maximum on bow and console and one approved forward-facing sonar transducer. And then September, this month, just last week, Bass announced the rules change to basically a split 50-50 for the Elite Series moving forward. And from that first announcement for February 11th, 2015 to 2025, there's a lot more outlets, media channels, coverage, and social media, and everyone has an opinion on this. So I thought, let's go to the top. With BTL, we've been around 21 years. We built the base of it. Let's go straight to the top and get the answers. And that is how we ended up with one CEO of Bass Angler Sportsman Society from his office in Alabama, Chase Anderson. Welcome to Bass Talk Live.
Hey, Matt. Thanks so much for having me, man. Really glad to be here today. And thank you so much for what you do in our industry and our sport. Appreciate your support for fishing some of our events, and just glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm sure you weren't planning on opening it up with a timeline, but I think it's interesting. You look behind you. I see, David Fritz. I see Brian Kirchhoff. I see Bob Cobb. I see Ray Scott. I see Helen Severe and a couple others that I can't. But history is an important aspect to this sport, and I think as we get into today's interview, we'll find that that the history of the sport, the longevity and the health of the sport is important to you too.
It is 100%. Means so much to me. I have a personal attachment to the brand. I joined Bass as a kid. I have a member card that we sent you from 1995. I believe there's one before that, but I do have that still in my possession. I keep in my office. Have been a Bass member off and on since 1995. And B.A.S.S, Bassmaster Magazine, is what got me into bass fishing. I never fished tournament fishing competitively, but always loved to fun fish, and began brand fishing and catfish back in Florence, Alabama, and when I was about 7 years old. But it was Bass and Bassmaster Magazine that got me into to bass fishing, and I improved my skills and had a lot of fun doing it, and just continued a love for the brand over the years. And what I'd like to remind everybody is this right here means something to me. These are custom-made cowboy boots, but it's not the boots. I'm talking about that shield right there. And I appreciate all of you watching to take just a second and see if that you feel anything when you see that. I asked this question at the beginning of the Elite Series season. I asked the question to my team here in Hoover, Alabama, at the beginning of our year. I said, does this, when you see this, does that resonate in you? Any response, emotional response, thinking? Well, it does for me, and it means something to me. I care about it, and I want to see this continue. And I am coming in on the backs of the people that built this over 58 years now, and I'm privileged to be in this role. I work to be a good steward of all the work that people before me did, that some of which are behind me right now. But I love this brand and this company, and I'm just privileged to be in the role I'm in, and I'm thankful for it. So
what have the last 8 years been like? You come in October 17. There's a press release that you're going to, with the Anderson, with Anderson Media, that you're going to be kind of taking over the role with Bassmaster. When I was kind of researching for this show, I was like, holy cow, that was 8 years ago. It doesn't seem like 8 years. Kind of walk me back through. Do you remember the first day that you walked in to Bass under that role and kind of took that over? What was that like? Do you remember what that first day was like?
I do. And at the time, I did not immediately assume the CEO role.
Mm-hmm.
The CEO named Bruce Aiken at the time. I was a board member and moved into kind of a strategy role. Honestly, I can't remember my title. I think it was, I was the director of the company from a board position, but I came in a kind of a learning place, working close with Bruce and the rest of the executive team. But it was an honor, honestly, to walk up and down the halls, to see the imagery that's like behind me right now, and to have the opportunity to go to our events and be around the pros. And I'll admit, there's a fan side of me as well. You can ask pro anglers, you can ask my team. I love being backstage. I love seeing the fish. I love seeing those fish backstage. I like getting close to them. So there was just an excitement and an incredible opportunity to work in my career around something that I personally care about. Not many people get to do that. I realized that the first day I walked in the office.
How long did it take you to realize that pretty much everybody in this game on every side has a very strong opinion about something, Chase?
Hey, David, let me tell you why I think that's the case.
Okay.
What I've learned is there's an incredible amount of passion around this sport and fishing in the industry. People who work in it, people who compete at the pro level down all the way through the grassroots programs, local tournaments, youth tournaments. We do it because we care. We love this. We love this game. We love this sport. And with that, there's passion. And with passion comes strong opinions. I was talking to someone recently. Passion, it's a double-edged sword, right? You're going to be really excited and really happy at certain things. There's going to be things that generate a really exciting thing, something you love. And then on the other side of that, you can get really upset, really frustrated, and have a strong opinion. That's okay. That's because you're passionate and you care. And I appreciate that. And I've learned that over these years, that the same people that can be really negative about a decision we make or something we don't like, or an angler they love didn't perform as well as they wanted to, are also in many cases the same people that are watching the next tournament to see who wins and to see if their favorite angler wins, or to see if we make a better decision they like, whatever the case may be. And we want those people following our content and following our tournaments and reading in the educational and inspirational piece of our organization.
All right, we're going to dive into this, and then I do want to circle back because I don't know if you know this or not, but I had to go through Mandy, who then had to go through your secretary, and we may or may not have some older pictures of Chase Anderson back in the day.
What did
holding up some fish. I do have a I do have the Bass member ID card, but it actually has your member ID number on it. I didn't know if I wanted to put that up, so we'll just have to have people to trust on it. But we're 10 minutes in. Let's dive right into some of these questions. That last the last timestamp that I talked about, that September or last week that came out, the press release, the rules change as far as forward facing sonar. Nothing changed as far as the single approved forward facing transducer on it, the 55 inches of screen. Hardcore bat, it doesn't mean anything to the general public. That doesn't change. But what did change was the coin flip that just took place in Little Rock, Arkansas at the JM Studios with Mark Zona, basically setting the standard for bass that while forward-facing sonar is part of the game, it will not be part of the game in every single one of the top level events. Either the 50-50, it ended up turning out to be a 60-40 with the coin flip for the St. Lawrence River going towards forward-facing sonar. You've had several days to digest this. I'm sure you've heard a lot of opinions from a lot of people on, no pun intended, the different sides of the coin. But what has been the overall feedback so far based on this latest decision to split forward-facing sonar at the Elite Series level beginning in 2026?
What do you expect me to say? It's been mixed, Matt.
Okay.
No, it's been mixed. I generally think it's been positive from what I've seen, and when our team meets, I generally think it's been positive and welcomed. It's because of the opinions around this topic have been so strong, and it has really put people on both sides of the coin, if you will, over the last number of years. Many people did not think that, and I read some of that, they thought, for reasons that they thought it should be gone entirely or that we shouldn't touch it at all. We feel that this is the right decision for the Elite Series. For 2026, we'll continue to monitor it, as we said. I think generally it's been positive. For the audience to know, and this has been said publicly, of course, 68 to 70 of the current Elite Series field, the 2025 Elite Series field, strongly wanted some type of limitation beyond the monitoring that we put in place in 2025, the one transducer and the 55-inch screen limit. They wanted more than that. But you had about 30% of the field that felt very strongly against that. So from a feedback from fans and viewers, it's been mixed as well. We've been applauded by people that thought more restrictions need to be put in place. There's been frustrations, and I respect it. I understand it. But in looking at the data, it makes sense. It falls, from what I've seen, generally comparable, I think, to what we saw with the ABP in the vote they did with the field, that we were not a part of that vote. So.
That's the angler. It's an angler committee that is independent. I'm speaking on my memory here. Independent, but recognized and heard by BASS, meaning what the ABP decides, BASS is not required to follow that, but BASS strongly takes that into consideration based on the recommendations that they provide, which are representatives for roughly 1 in every 20 Elite Series anglers that try to cover of all of the Elite Series anglers' voices and opinions. Fair synopsis of the ABP.
Very fair. Yeah, angler board professionals, and you hit the other 6 anglers. The field is split about 20 guys, like you said. You hit it. You hit it there. So
okay. This begs a follow-up question. I think it can't be stated enough. Bass Talk Live, Matt Pangrac, independent, sole proprietor, want to do what's best for me. B.A.S.S, for-profit, independent, business, run. MLF, the exact same. NPFL, the exact same. Any of those tournament trails that are like that. That being said, Bass relies heavily, especially in tournament, on sponsors, and particularly the electronics companies, the big 3, the Humminbirds, the Garmin, the Lowrances. A lot of their high-end sales, are influenced by what the top-level competitors are using. How much of an input did electronics companies play in this decision? And how much was BASS influenced by the electronics companies in this forward-facing sonar decision in 2026?
Sure, very little. Honestly speaking, we received some input, as you said, but influence over the decision, very little. They respect that we're an organization running a tournament, running a sport, a league.
Mm-hmm.
We are a media company and have that side of our business, but we're working as diligently as we can to maintain a level playing field for the anglers, and our sponsors and business partners respect that. Now, for obvious reasons, they had opinions on the topic and provided some input, if you will, many of which I was not even personally involved in. But as far as influencing of the decision, I think I'll take this opportunity to stamp out a rumor that was out there. One of the few rumors that has actually bothered me, to be honest with you, Matt. Most things I really don't pay a whole lot of attention to. I've got some folks that watch our social media, but I'm undeterred. I'm not going to lose sleep over what somebody says about me or organization. I know where we're going. I'm pretty confident in who I am and who I am in Christ and where our organization business are going. So, I'll set that out there. But as far as the rumor about us being bought off, if you will, or paid to make decisions, that is a lie. It's false. I'll put my reputation on it. I'll put 108 years of the Anderson Company's reputation on that statement. If someone knows of someone from our company that took money from a business partner of ours, you let me know. That person will be terminated as soon as I find out about it. If you have evidence, you can let me know. You can call the line, ask for Jessica, ask for Claire. You can get me. That's one of the few things, since there's been a lot of noise around this topic, that's concerned me and bothered me, because it is so false. It's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care calling people that, because it ain't true. And if they want to call me and talk to me about it, you want to find some evidence, you can go right ahead. I just put my own personal reputation and that of my family, which means a whole lot to me, on the line by saying that. We've never accepted money to influence a decision here since I've been in this role. If you know someone from our company that has done that and tried to influence a decision, you let me know. So what I'll say about that.
There you go. I think there's some stuff that's behind the curtain that should stay behind the curtain, like locker room stuff in every sport, between teammates, between that coach. But as much as you feel comfortable, kind of take me into that room when you guys were hashing out the final press release there, where you're saying, hey, we're going to do a coin toss. Hey, we're going to go 50-50. How much of a I guess impact did you have in that decision? Kind of who were the players in the room, and how was it when you said, all right, here it is, we're rolling with it?
Sure. No, now remember, as we said in the press release, we've been monitoring this. We looked at it over a couple of years. You were correct. We formed a tech committee at the end of
October 2023.
Yes, correct. And then absolutely right, where the August 23 event up in Champlain is really what kind of put this, made it much more visible, if you will. So the tech committee was put in place. The tech committee reviewed results from the tournaments and how effective the technology was in catching fish, and how dominant it was, if you will, in certain tournaments. At this, also talked to every elite angler twice that year. Once at the end of 2023, once again in 2024. I have all the information. I've seen it all. I know the anglers' comments. I don't make that public, obviously, but I studied it, reviewed it. The tech committee made a recommendation at the end of 24 for what to do for the 2025 season. And that's where we determined to limit its use by putting one transducer on the bow of the boat and 55-inch screen size. We continued to monitor it. We put together a schedule that was very diverse in 2025, as you know, diverse group of fisheries. And what we saw is that because of the diversity of the fisheries, it was effective in reducing the dominance, if you will. But forward-facing sonar continued to play significantly in all of the tournaments. Some, it was more of a dominant factor. But what we learned is that from scheduling and conditions as well, there's just so many factors. So 10 killer, did we think that would be the type tournament it was? No, right? We didn't think it would be a shallow water fest. We thought it'd be a deep water scoping event, if you will. Why was that? Because the water level was high. They had rains. I was out there. I saw it. And what we learned is that scheduling in itself, year after year, was going to be challenging if we were trying to prevent the technology being such a dominating factor. You said a comment earlier that I have used, the technology being in the game or in the sport, more in our cases, probably, but not the sport.
Mm-hmm.
In the sport, but not the sport. I use that a lot. It's kind of my personal thought process. I was very influential in the decision. I made the decision. If you want to know, I'm the CEO. I should make those decisions. Confident saying that. I understand people disagree strongly with that. I ask you to respect it. Even if you don't respect it, that's fine. I'm not going to hate you. You can write me a letter if you want to. I did receive a lot of letters over the last couple of years, which I read and responded to
handwritten. Have you gotten any handwritten letters?
Are you kidding me? Of course.
Really? You still get, sitting down and you know what? I'm going to write Mr. Anderson a letter, pull out the old.
I love my handwritten letters. I get them occasionally. Yeah.
I can't tell you the last time I wrote one.
Either it's me following up or I'll have someone from our team it pertains more to them that will follow up. But no, I love our members and our fans, and I love it when they reach out with good or bad. I like hearing from them.
So you make this decision. So one of the things, you talk about the input on it and the factors that did not play into it, the technology companies and that, and it ultimately came down to you. Immediately, like 24 hours after the rules change was announced for the 50/50, BASS also put a press release out that had to do with their partnership with Fox, with FS1, obviously on Roku channel, I believe too, which I didn't know that the 70-inch TV in my bedroom that I never turn on had Roku on it. It's now on Roku a lot. It's actually quite a nice feature. Very easy to follow. But I want to read a snippet from the press release that came out the day after the forward-facing press release, and it said it says the Bassmaster. This unrivaled coverage comes on the heels of record-breaking viewership in 2025, which saw a 20% increase in live viewers in 2024. And then I went back and there's a December 6th press release there that also talks about how record-breaking 2024 was. So obviously good to see that more people are listening. Obviously part of that has to do with more exposure with the Fox and the FS1 and the hours and days of coverage on that. But that also leads me to believe, why make a change when you have seen 2 years, based on Bassmaster's own press releases, that there are more eyeballs and more viewing public on this actually, in 2024 with unlimited. And I mean, you had guys out there with the space, 8 graphs. And then this year with it, you're still seeing an increase. Why not say, why not follow that trend and say, hey, it does not appear as though we're losing viewers. We're going to stay the course because we're still growing the sport for our eyeballs.
Right. That's a great question. And viewership and what we released out last week on those numbers is true. Nielsen rated it at the bottom. Sometimes I hear people come to my office and say people are questioning our viewership numbers. It's pretty hard to argue against Nielsen. I don't know what else to say. It's been the industry standard a long time.
It's the only one I've ever heard of, so it sounds pretty legit.
And, we don't have the relationship with Nielsen. Fox does. So Fox provides those numbers. So, if you want to argue with that, I'll let you call Fox or call Nielsen. But what we did is we were very smart in working with Fox in a new contract term where we were able to secure more hours on Fox broadcast. So we went from 6 hours on Fox broadcast to 12 hours on Fox broadcast. That greatly increased our overall viewership. The release said FS1 and Fox broadcast. You saw that. So when you compare 12 hours to the previous contract term that had 6 hours, that's definitely going to increase your viewership. That brought in new fans, new audience. And that was really good business by our team's part in working with them. And Fox wanted the hours, needed the hours, and we were happy to provide them, to provide the exposure for our sport and for the Elite Series. Measuring viewership specifically as it relates to how forward-facing sonar techniques used in competition are impacting viewership is difficult to measure. I'll be honest. viewership is impacted by many things, such as the time slot you're in, what you're competing against. So we do not perform well when we're up against the Masters, for example.
I don't think anything does.
Exactly.
I'm
Right.
watching the Masters.
Yeah. So while we were up the 20% that you saw, and the additional Fox broadcast helped us with that, there were events where we were down, right? There were events where we could see more granularly where it was a forward facing comparable against a non forward facing. And
Lake St. Clair. That's me saying that. I'd venture to say Lake St. Clair was probably not a high ranking one if you're just doing it based off the forward facing sonar.
Down 30%.
Yeah.
So you follow this so closely, right? St. Clair this year was down 30%.
Yeah.
And you can take events, and it becomes difficult to have conversations with experts in the industry who are much more knowledgeable than I am. Just viewership in itself is very challenging. But we did see indicators that some of our core fans were getting frustrated by watching a dominant technique be used to so effectively and efficiently in winning tournaments. So we have data that you just have to get very granular, much more granular than we're able to announce in a social media post or a press release.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I hope that helps.
When you took this over, okay, so full disclosure, when I got you on, I was watching college football on Saturday, and I was getting pumped up for, OU versus Michigan. I was like, please, I'm really hoping, we got Venables on defense. Let's hope that the offense under new offensive coordinator Arbuckle get. My phone rings, and I didn't recognize the number. I don't answer numbers that I don't recognize. That usually rarely ends up good. And I had been working through to try to get you on the show, and we ended up having, it was you, and I called you back, and we ended up having a chat. And I hung up from that. And, I know you to be friendly. I've seen you at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, the Bassmaster Classics, ICAST, things like that. Shake hands, say pleasantries. But I got off of that call, and I did not understand the level of passion. And you started out hot out of the gates with the boots and the patch on it, but I did not understand the passion that you have for this game that runs deep. I think there's a lot of people, and this is just me talking, could be speaking out of turn here, but that think, Anderson Media Group, you're Chase Anderson, you came in to run Bass and it's just a business. But I got the feeling that this was just more than just a business decision for you when you came into this role, not as the CEO 7 years ago, but especially as it's progressed. And I did throw in the September 18 MLF announces the Bass Pro Tour because that was a major challenge in the world of professional bass fishing. Independent show here. It seems like it's working out for them on your side. You guys did a great job of rebounding, but talk about the passion that kind of runs deep that I don't think the everyday person sees, or the everyday person that knows your name, but not the person behind the name.
Man, thanks for the question, because I know as soon as I get labeled a corporate guy, apparently, which if you don't know me, that's fine. Hey, y'all, I like to fish, right? I do fish. I've got equipment on my boat, so I know how things work. I get out with experts when I can, but no, this goes back for me. It's a part of me. What's great about our sport? It's not just a sport, it's a lifestyle, right? This right here represents a lifestyle in this country and around the world that I think is very special. And some of you that you may relate to that as you watch this right now. But when I was a kid, this is when, and I don't know if we had fish. This is one of my fishing hats right here. That straw hat. This is a Resistol that I fished with in high school. Put it on real quick. Still fits. Still love to wear it. Still put it on when I fish sometimes. You know why I wore that hat, Matt?
I'm guessing Ray.
Because of this guy's hat right here.
Is that Ray Scott's actual hat, Chase?
Ray Scott hat.
No way. That's a Ray Scott hat.
Yeah, that's and I will wear that at the Bassmaster Classic, definitely on the last day, if not. So you'll see me walk around the Classic with the boots and with the hat at a minimum on the last day. I think that people that see me at the Bassmaster Classic, you get to see that passion, the heart behind it, how I care. If you've never been to a Bassmaster Classic and you see me, you will get free merch. Hopefully, some of your listeners here.
Be careful. They love free merch, Chase. You got someone in the back room going, no, don't say that.
You got to prove to me it's your first Classic.
Yeah.
If it's not your first Classic, please come say hello. I'd love to meet you. Ask the team. One of my favorite things to do is to go out to our events. And if you ever hear a guy that just says, "Hey, how you doing? Mm-hmm. Tell me about what you're doing here. What you like?" That might be me, because I like talking to our fans. I like feeling the passion firsthand because it's there. Not all sports and not all activities have this. Again, it's a lifestyle. I was not a tournament fisherman. I will admit that, and that's okay. But I've just always loved fishing, the outdoors. I'm a big hunter. Deer season's coming up for too long, and I'm eating up with it. Our anglers know that. But there's something special about being an outdoorsman and being a part of God's beautiful creation in this country and beyond. And it is something that means something to me. And I like for people to know that. I've probably not been as open or out front about that as maybe I could have been. So the people that have seen me as this sort of corporate, behind the desk kind of guy, I don't fault you for it. That's probably my fault more than your fault. But I'm glad I got an opportunity here to kind of tell the story straight. And for people that know me, that you can talk to the elite anglers. They may not agree with everything I say, but they know I love it, and they know I'm an outdoorsman. I respect the heck out of what they do, and I got a fan side of me. I love what they do. I'd like to be able to catch fish like them, but I can't. But
what's your favorite jam? Like, if you had one day, like you had one technique, like one lure, like if it was like, hey, I'm going to go catch bass at like doing this, like you got one day, like what are you throwing? Like, kind of what's like a great day on the water for you? Just no cell phone. You're just out there casting and catching.
I like topwater, man. I like
okay.
But I know about yourself. Stupid answer.
Well, everyone does. I do too. I mean, who doesn't like topwater?
That's what I mean. That's what people are saying. Oh, this guy, he's just saying that because I know that's kind of everybody's favorite, but it's just not hard to. Man, I like hitting structure. I like, I like working stuff off of structure, and love feeling that bite, sense of fish coming off of something, whether that's a log lay down or it's a brush pile, whatever it is. I got brush piles thrown out outside of my lake house, and got my girls now catching everything from bluegill, catfish, and bass off of it. So it's for me too. It's being out in nature as well. I like being in a beautiful setting. Again, you may say, Chase, that's lame. Look, that I love that part of it as well. That part of the game, if you will. It's just a special thing that we're a part of, and I want to try to drive that message home to all the listeners. We got to step back sometimes and say we love something that is very special, and it is good for us. Fishing is a good thing. Bass fishing is a good thing, and I love it.
You're part of the Anderson family. You mentioned it's over 100 years. I mean, it's a quick Google search to see what that is, but I'm going to pull up some of these photos now. There's
oh man, where'd you get that?
A young Chase. There's another young Chase. There's another one. That's definitely the youngest picture right there with the old North Alabama with the hard white tee tucked in. Right. What I kind of show those to say, I mean, that's just a kid who loves fishing. When was the first point where you realized, there might be a chance or an opportunity that I could be involved with this organization that I've been a member of since 1995, that I have these photos with friends and family? Like, do you remember when you were like, holy cow, like this could be an opportunity? Because I mean, you ended up moving your whole family to like Alabama and doing this too, but what was that kind of moment where it's like, oh, this could be an option?
That's right. It was a progression, and it goes back to the man in the blue hat, which is my grandfather, my dad's father. We first fished, we dug up where he lives, right on the Tennessee River, just outside Florence, Alabama, on Wilson Lake. We dug up worms down the property, down toward the dock that they had. They lived right on the river there, and we caught brim and catfish. It started right there, and then my first fishing buddy was the black man that you saw there, Clarence,
Yep.
Clarence Smith from Tuscumbia, Alabama. He is really who I spent a lot of time fishing with, mostly for catfish, and Brent Clarence fished for food. But we spent so much time together. Clarence was retired and worked with my grandparents some, and my granddad was still busy in his career working. So in the summers when I was down in Florence, that's who I fished with. About that time, joined B.A.S.S, got into bass fishing. You know, when I was in college, I went to Auburn. Florence is where they fished a lot, but I actually grew up and went to school in Knoxville, Tennessee, what would be for the Bassmaster Classic next year. Yeah, so and then I went to Auburn. My mom went to Auburn, took a boat to Auburn, fished down there. But there was a man who was a good family friend back then. This is in about the year 2000, 99, 2000, who owned a private lake outside of Auburn, and he invited me to come fish. His name is Don Logan. Don Logan, for those of you that don't recognize the name, is the previous majority owner of Bass. Don and Jerry McInnes and Jim Copeland had acquired Bass from ESPN in 2010, I believe. They closed the deal and kind of took it over in 2011. So Don recognized how much I love fishing. My dad does not have a great interest in fishing. He likes the outdoors. He loves the brand. He loves what we do. He's always at the Classic. We talk occasionally. We don't talk regularly about the business. Dad still oversees other businesses, but he loves the fact that we're a part of the fishing community. But my grandfather was more of the fisherman, and Don Logan. So Don took an interest in me, and over the years, Don and I just stayed in touch. And Don and my dad and grandfather were good friends. Don's from Decatur. We're from the Shoals area originally. And when Don and group bought Bass from ESPN, he called my dad and said, "Let Chase know about this. Maybe at some point we could ask you to come on as partners." And which we did. We made a minority investment, a very small minority investment in 2014. Many people don't even realize that. And I began to sort of from afar. I went to some of the events. I went to the Classic. My first Classic was 14 in Birmingham when Randy won. That was my first Bassmaster Classic.
Not a bad one to go to.
Yeah, it's fun. And I popped into some elite events occasionally. I was actually in Texas at the time where I met my wife, who's from Arkansas, actually. And then we acquired the majority of the company in 2017. And so I gave you kind of a long story, but I like people to recognize that it's through a personal passion and it's through relationships. Isn't that kind of like how life works a little bit? If we look at how life turns, it's about people and it's about experiences. And I try to simplify things. And when I think about that answer, it was just kind of God's plan and just through relationships and following something that I love.
So you've talked about, I'm just putting it together. You've talked about, you as a young angler fishing it. We started out, we're talking about professional fishing at the very top level, the Elite Series that only has 100 on it. The viewers and listeners who are Bass members, some of which may tournament fish, some of which may not. It's hard. I would imagine it's hard to be like everything for everybody as the CEO of Bass, which, the number that's always been floated out since I got into this in 2007 was 500,000 members with Bass. And now in 2025, moving forward, like how would you, I guess, describe the Bass member that you are targeting? Sure.
That's great. And we are still right around 500,000 pay members. Thank you, members. We love our members. We recently did a member survey, so it's pretty good timing.
Okay.
Our member age, share some of this because it's out there, 46 years old. We share that with our partners. We're about 75 to 80% male. So that the membership age has actually come down since I've been here. That is not indicative of our digital audience necessarily. That tends to tilt younger. Demographics change a little bit. Same with our social media would be different, obviously. But membership in general, the main benefit of membership, as you know, is Bassmaster Magazine. That is incredibly important to our members. Our members fish a lot. Our members are really into the sport. Our members spend a lot on fishing equipment. Nearly 50% of our members spend over $1,000 a year with. We have data that shows, a lot. The actually, you know what? I actually just pulled some statistics on membership. So
I feel like I heavily skew that number. If you were doing an average, if the average was 1,000, I don't know if that's the average. I think I know about 3 or 4 buddies who probably jumped that up to about 3,000.
So, we in our pitch decks, and if you're a sponsor out there, you've seen this. We kind of categorize internally in what we talk to our business partners as competitive enthusiasts. Probably also label that more of a tournament angler, right? Hungry learner. That's probably a more casual angler who's aspiring to be more competitive or even have fun on more of a competitive level, and more of than a family angler. It's more of a fun family activity. We have 40% of our membership that fish over 50 times a year.
Wow.
Yeah, I consider
that's a lot. That's once a week, Chase.
That's an enthusiast. Those are people that love it. They're people that are spending money, and they're devouring content on Bassmaster Magazine. They spend about an hour a month on the publication. So, we over 20 times a year, we have about 65 to 70% that fish over 20. I find that number pretty staggering.
Yeah.
And then a good chunk that are between 5 and 20 times. And, 1 in 5 gets very low. And then very few, which there's a couple that put this in our survey that don't fish at all.
Okay.
Maybe they just follow along, but our members fish, and we love our membership. It's still a very core part of who we are. And we know that's where Ray founded the company. It's membership and sending out Bassmaster Magazine. We're proud of our heritage. And we've focused on evolving over the years, but also being true to who we are in certain aspects of the organization.
So you said average age 46.
Right. That's not perfect, I would say, probably.
But roughly. So, okay, this has been, it's been, it's like a volcano. It's been kind of boiling for a long time. I know Mark Jeffries, back when he ran BTL, he would go on epic show long rants about how it was. This was 15 years ago. And then it's come up again. I know it was on a TNZ podcast. It was mentioned the Bassmaster Seniors Tour. We're seeing a lot of turnover now. We are doing the 10 out and the 10 in and that, and you've got a lot of very influential. I mean, it was one of the I'll say one of the most badass things is that Rick Clunn is still fishing the opens, and it's still cool. Like at Kentucky Lake, he pulled up next to me in the aluminum and asked how my day was. And I mean, you very rarely have that opportunity in the sport to get it. I ran into Denny Brower in an airport last year, and he sat down and we talked about bass fishing. He talked about bear hunting and stuff like that. But is that on the radar of Bass? Is that a financial decision? Is that something that may come in the future? Is that wishful hoping? What's the status of potentially a senior tour or even just a couple one-off senior events for those?
There's not plans for it to happen in 2026. I'll say that and be open about that. I would say, are we open to it? Sure. We're always open to looking at good opportunities. I think it probably depend on a couple of things. Participation is one. It's kind of obvious what the interest would be amongst people that would probably consider that, and who would want to consider themselves that, right? Because you don't necessarily just want to label someone in that category when maybe they don't think they need to be there, right? So
Legends Tour then.
There need to be research on that.
Just a simple name switch.
Obviously, running tournaments is not free. It's not necessarily cheap. It's not. We put a lot of equipment out there. We put a lot of people against it. And you fish our tournaments, everything that go involved in that. So logistically, we run a lot of other tournaments from scheduling standpoint. There'll be a lot to consider, just like any other time we move into something new. But could it happen? I would say, yeah, we could talk about it. Be open to exploring the idea. It's not something we're actively. I said it's not happening in 26. It's not something that's on the drawing board. But there have been conversations in our office here in Hoover about it. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Kind of winded down here. I do want to circle back to the forward-facing sonar talk again. You mentioned you have the committee and you're looking at a year-to-year basis. Is this something that will be revisited every year for the foreseeable future? You have turnover, you have people that are changing. Will Bass look at it? Is there a chance it could go back to forward-facing sonar full-time? Is there a chance it could go to zero? Is there a chance, like, my question is, does Bass have a game plan, like an end date, like, hey, this is what it's going to be for the next X number of years, or is that going to be fluid on a year-to-year basis?
I think in both releases, and definitely the release at the end of 2024, we said we would continue to monitor it, which is what we did in 25 when we took more data and more information, and both hard data as well as anecdotal data to make our decision for 2025. And what I will say is something I haven't said this yet. We took into account for 2025 was fan feedback, was member feedback. In a member survey, we definitely saw our members' thoughts on the topic, and similar to what the Angler Board of Professionals presented us as well. But technology is something that evolves, and it changes, and it's fluid. It's hard to take, I think, a long multi-year sort of put a stamp or seal on it for many years out, when we're in the middle of something that is still relatively new and evolving so much. It's interesting. I did my research and had the dates just like you. 2015 is when Garmin launched Panoptics, and we saw advancements, over the years. In 2018, live scope, obviously, and every few years things have been advancing and changing, and also how the fishing community has responded. Right? I mean, the technology has been wonderful in helping people catch more fish and locate fish more. And I am by no means going to say that I'm against the technology at the same time. And those were just companies being smart and investing. And at the same time, I do think it's a technology that needs to be monitored, because we do want diversity of fishing techniques in our events. We believe in that. And that's what we think we've done for the 2026 season with the split schedule, is done something that will allow for diversity of techniques to be needed to be competitive. I think we're going to experience a really exciting 2026 season. I'm already excited about it. Great opportunity for young anglers, some of which may be disappointed at this and are hating this podcast right now. But I'd say, guys, this is a moment for you. This is an opportunity to go out and put your skills on display. You have been labeled as only having a certain fishing technique, and prove that wrong. These are good anglers. We know that. And for some of our veteran anglers, this is an opportunity to use everything in your toolbox. Hopefully the schedule will play that way, right? We can't control weather.
Yeah. Prove that you can still catch them. That's what I would say. Prove you can still catch them.
I'll let you say that.
I just said it. Prove you can still catch them.
You can probably speak more.
So it's a sport with a lot of longevity in it, and you got to prove that you could still catch them. It doesn't matter what it's with at some point at that. And that, like you said, that gives them that opportunity this year.
Our goal is to level the playing field. Where we sit, we can't see an angler's face or jersey. They're an angler. We have to treat everyone as fairly as we can. That is what we have to do in our role. We cannot see angler A and B and label one as being a young angler or a veteran angler. No, we're agnostic to that. Otherwise, we're not being fair to the anglers that fish our events. I am so excited about our future and future of the Elite Series, as well as our entire organization. And I am just I believe this is the right decision for 2026. Back to your question, we'll continue to monitor it. We do want a diversity of fishing techniques to be in play in the Elite Series. And we believe we've done that for 2026, and we'll continue to monitor fishing techniques, technology advancements. And we want technology in the Elite Series. We do. We want technology. As I said, high level, being in the game, but not the game, being in the sport, but not the sport. That was kind of a starting place for us. a couple of years ago when we began studying this more closely with the tech committee.
Chase, I've got a big calendar across from me, and on I got September 25th marked off. It is the 25th Bass Fishing Hall of Fame induction ceremony. One of the guys that I know who's been on the road, done a lot for Bassmaster over the years, getting inducted, in Craig Lamb this year. I've seen you at the Hall of Fame ceremony before. I think you've maybe gotten in some intense bidding wars, perhaps, over the last couple of years at the Hall of Fame. I'll be interested to see if that goes down again this year. But I would just like to get kind of your take and Bass's take as a CEO of that, of how important the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame is, the connection with Bass, and kind of preserving that history moving forward.
Absolutely. We love the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. We have a great relationship with them, and there's obviously so much crossover between people who are members of the Hall of Fame and Bass, and also people who are on the board of the Hall of Fame. We've been fortunate since I've been here to have many inductees. I go to the dinner every year, always look forward to it, at the Wonders of Wildlife Museum that Johnny Morris hosts the event at. And we're so excited for Craig, and Craig is so well deserving. Craig is a subject matter expert. He's a legend in himself and what he does in covering the sport. Craig's a good friend. He's been a good resource for me. When I have a question about how Bass did things many years ago, or want a glimpse into our history, I ask Craig. Craig knows it, and he's been on the tournament side all the way up to the content work he still does. And Craig works. He works hard. Mm-hmm. He's working hard, and he's already getting ready for next year. He's actually going to be down in the office here next week, as a matter of fact, and I'll get to see him. But congratulations, Craig Lamb, and all the other inductees of the 2025 Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. I look forward to seeing you next month in Springfield.
Last question, and then you're off the hook here. What makes Bass the number one tournament organization in the world, Chase?
Absolutely. It's a couple of things. I think this helps. I think we have to look at the heritage and legacy, what came before us, what has built what we have today, that's been refined and improved over all the years. And it started with Ray, and Ray's dream, as you hear in our cast documentary, and Ray's dream to build this sport. And people have been very serious about continuing that and carrying it on, and work to evolve that. And that's where we are. Currently, we have incredibly passionate people here who really care about this shield, and who care about being better. Are we perfect? No. But I'm confident in our people, from our content side of the business, both here in Hoover as well as in Little Rock at JM, through our tournament team, who works as hard as to be as consistent as possible. And that's a hard job they have. And it can be very difficult, but I'm very proud of our tournament team and the work they do, and our sales and marketing team that works to tell our story. I think it's it's our vision, and it's the passion that our people have, and that I have personally. I bet on myself a little bit, if I'm honest with you. We want to be the best. We want to be better. I have experienced, since I've been here, a lot of disruption from the split less than a year after I took the role. We have not talked about COVID and its implications. And that honestly kind of distracted the industry and sport. There were advancements being made in technology and other things that are happening. We're pretty focused on just trying to have a season in 2020, which we did. But we have been through many disruptions over the years that predate me, and we've always come back stronger and better. I'm confident we're better now than we were before the split in 2018. I'm confident we'll be better 5 years from now. I welcome your feedback. I understand we're not perfect to the fishing community, but I will say that our team and our culture is one of continuous improvement, and we're working to be better. And that's in the way we run tournaments and the way we cover the sport. I hope everyone has seen the Roku Bass channel. We just passed over 1 million hours consumed on that in less than 60 days since it launched. Thank you is what I'll tell the bass fishing community for that. Thank you. That's one channel. That's one fast channel on Roku. We just hit the 1 million hour streamed mark, and I'm proud of that. We're going to keep evolving. We're going to keep advancing in the way we cover the sport, and we're going to be true to our heritage. We're going to run the most consistent, fair tournaments that we're we are able to recognize we won't be perfect, but that's what we'll strive to do. We'll be the best at covering the sport, reaching our fans, and serving the fishing community. Our mission statement is fueling a passion for fishing through education, inspiration, and conservation, and serving as the keeper of the culture of the sport. That is a mission statement that is on the desk of every one of my team members here in Birmingham with 10 company values. And we go back, we keep it simple. This is who we are. Continuous improvement is one of the values that I stress the most. Being better, and you're going to continue to see a better Bassmaster going forward. And that's my goal. That's where we're going. And I ask the fishing community to consider this. I view the decision we made on further restriction for forward-facing sonar. It is a big decision. It was done in which we worked very hard to bring a more consistent level playing field, to maintain diversity of techniques in the sport. And one that, in listening to our fans, our members, anglers, and stakeholders in the industry, we felt we made the right decision, knowing that people disagree. For those that disagree, I ask you respectfully disagree, and ask you come around us as we come together to build an incredible product for the 2026 season. And I thank you for being a fan, a member, and for just loving bass fishing, whether you like me or like bass or not. I thank you for being a part of this community that we have. And our goal is to serve this community. And we want to serve you.
Well said, Chase Anderson, CEO of Bass Angler Sportsman Society. Can't thank you enough for the hour of time, and really appreciate the interview and getting to know you better, Chase.
Matt, this has been awesome. I just thank you for having me on. Enjoy the time, and hopefully look forward to meeting some of your viewers at some point. But thank you very much. Really enjoyed it, Matt.
All right. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
All right. There you go. Chase Anderson. Take a quick break. When we come back, break it down. Not too much. I'm going to just kind of let that interview stand for itself and wrap things up here. Bass Talk Live. We'll be back right after this.
I fish in some of the worst elements across the country. Spring. That's a giant, dude. Summer. Oh my gosh. Hi. Look at that thing. Winter. It's so cold. And fall. Got a big one. That's awesome. Being comfortable and staying dry is the only option. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
When I'm in a tournament, conditions are constantly changing and every second matters. With the Deep Dive app, I can instantly pull up all the current lake conditions all in one spot. So no more looking at weird government websites. In just one quick glance, I have water clarity, water level, wave forecast. It's all right there in the Deep Dive app. Download the Deep Dive app and get all the tools you need to put together an awesome tournament.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
All right, welcome back. Wrapping things up here on a BTL following an hour-long interview with Chase Anderson, CEO of Bass, and what we didn't get to in the show. I didn't want to talk about it during the show, but there was a comment. So we did one show last year, and there was a viewer who made a comment that said something like, Chase Anderson looks like he drinks Zimas. And I kid you not, I should have had him during the show, bring it on. The Bass staff heard it, and they had to like get a empty 6-pack of Zimas off eBay, and then they left it in his office for him. So he's still right next to Ray Scott's hats. is an empty 6-pack of Zima. So I would imagine for a person in his position, he's never going to make everyone happy. That's got to be difficult to go in knowing that you're pissing people off regardless of the decision that you make. But just getting to know him better through this, I see him with the Bass boots on and the suit, doing the corporate thing with the big sponsors that make this stuff happen at Bass. He did not have to agree to this interview. I asked him. We had a loose outline of what we were going to talk about. There wasn't a single question or a single topic. I didn't even give him specific question. It wasn't a single topic that I asked to cover on this show that he said he didn't want to talk about. So you have to give Chase credit for that and for that interview. So that's all we got for BTL. If you want more information on it, basstalklive.com. The BTL merchandise store is open through September 21st. If you want to support BTL, it's bassfishinghof.com. If you want more information on the upcoming Bass Fishing Hall of Fame banquet coming up, I'm leaving all the comments up. These are the only deciding factors here. Educated, well thought out opinion that doesn't directly insult anybody or use any 4-letter language. If you're a complete idiot, I'm just going to remove it and block it. Other than that, I'll leave it up. Good, bad, indifferent. That's the beauty. That's what I love about the BTL community and the listeners. Highly educated. Chase said a lot of things that can be interpreted numerous ways depending on which side of the fence you're on. I'm going to let it stand for itself. I'm going to hit the intro music, and we're going to call it back. This has been another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live every Monday through Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Central Time on the BTL YouTube channel. And you can find it on the MP3 or iTunes platform of your choice. We'll talk to everyone later. See ya.